Hello, I'm Todd Blackstock and welcome to City Corner. On today's show, we're going to discuss some really cool pop-up holiday pop-ups with our friends from Work and Leisure. And musician and former broadcaster Clint Hasse will join us to discuss his new book, On the Hill. So stay with us for City Corner, coming up next on STL TV. Well, pop-ups are becoming the craze for fun theme parties, and joining us now in our first segment is Jordan Renaud and Raven Weinrich from Work and Leisure. Jordan and Raven, thank you so much for joining us here today, and we'll start with you, Jordan. Pop-ups are the craze. I mean, a couple of years ago, we started hearing about them, and now it's like, I'm talking to my friends, and they're all like, hey man, let's go hit some pop-ups this weekend. What started this?
Yeah, well, first off, thank you very much for having us on the show. We were really excited when we got the opportunity to come speak with you. Pop-ups, are becoming more and more of a thing. People are looking for more of an immersive experience that they're looking to do with their free time, and especially when they're spending with others as well. And the holiday time is, time for gathering, for sure, for amongst a lot of people. We wanted to do something that was not necessarily a Christmas pop-up. We wanted to do something that was a holiday ski lodge, wintry themed pop-up. So it appeals to everyone, no matter of your religious backgrounds or whatever you believe in. You feel warm and welcome, and you can come with whomever you want to spend the time with. So we wanted to do something a little bit different and bring the great outdoors of the ski lodge indoors and to Work and Leisure. We call it Lodge and Leisure throughout December to really kind of bring it all together and give it that warm, cozy feeling that people associate with a lodge. So
the Lodge and Leisure and the Avalanche theme, we'll jump right back into that, it's a really neat concept. It's not really a Christmas concept theme, but it kind of describes like you're in like somewhere in Colorado or Utah or somebody. Yeah. What do you think, Raven?
Yeah, so the whole inside of the space is decorated like a mountainscape. So you feel outside, but nice and warm and toasty. And then we have a VIP loft area that we made into the lodge. So we do have the lodge and the leisure, but then we also have the mountainscape for you to ski on, hit those slopes.
So you're in this lodge, and I guess it's like it's a themed pop-up right now. And what happens when you're in there? I mean, what are the things that are going around that are kind of innovative and you can kind of feel your surroundings?
Yeah, so we have some really cool things going on this year. Kind of the big one is there's always the idea of the impending avalanche. So every 30 minutes, you'll experience the rumblings, and then at the very end, you'll get to experience the whole avalanche.
That we have different immersive games and things for people to play as well. So you're interacting when you're at Avalanche. You're not just coming in, sitting at a table with your friends, and that's it. We want people to be up. We want to be moving around. There's different games and stuff that are throughout, non-digital games, because we want people to put their phone in their pocket, pick up a cocktail and a ball, and have a conversation with somebody that you're with. So we do have some more interactive games than just kind of just chilling at the table. We'll have some s'more roasting stations. We will have some other different interactive pieces that we can't quite say yet, but we'll have a photo booth as well. It's going to be decked out to kind of make it look like you're feeling inside of a gondola. So there's just these little touches throughout the whole space that really kind of immerse you into it. And you're like, oh, you notice the details and things, and it just kind of has that little bit of a different feel to it.
So Jordan, you're the owner, and yes, Raven, you're the beverage director. Now, when you have these different themes, what are some of the unique cocktail, ideas you can put together and kind of immerse yourself into the surrounding of the weather or the season?
Yeah, so I follow along with the theme. So we have a lot of hot drinks. And we're doing a lot with bourbon this year because we're working with Ezra Brooks. So we have hot toddies and some really great old fashions. Everything that we make is made in-house from scratch. So any flavor profile, we try to find local fresh ingredients and use those, implement those. So we have some really great stuff this year. And we're really heavy on mocktails, gluten-free, vegan, vegetarian, making sure everybody has an option when they walk in.
So you're staying up on the times and, with all that. Now, Jordan, you've had a pretty successful year. If you want to take it back a few months, you've had some sellout themes. And what's it like throughout the year? I know you had your thing with Halloween. You've got the November theme coming up. talk about some of the events you've previously held this year that were very successful.
Oh, we had a roller coaster every year in a good way. Like it was all over the place with what we got to host and do, which was really neat. We did an excellent one this summer called Summer Camp, which is actually the summer version of Avalanche. So all the snow is melted. We wanted to do an adult summer camp because summer camp's not just for kids anymore, and be able to bring some people in and have some fun and do some different games and things like that. That worked out really well. We do have a special thing coming up this weekend is Gremlins. It's the 40th anniversary of Gremlins. So we're doing a Tenacious Eats with Liz Schuster, Chef Liz Schuster, and teaming up with that. And that is this Friday and Saturday. I think most of the tickets have sold
We've
out.
sold out completely.
And so it's just a really big response from that. So it's just really fun, just different types of events that we're doing that just gets people in the doors and really just makes them go, wow, live in the moment for a little bit and forget about everything that's going on. It's just enjoying the time in front of you with the people and having some fun and watching their faces like, whoa, like you guys thought of that detail? And just really watching the expressions on their faces really fun.
Now, when you have a theme going on like the Avalanche or the Halloween theme, is there any other available event spaces available there? Or is it that's your theme for now?
We do have, when we do the pop-ups, the theme is the theme, but we do have events during that time. So we'll rent out, like for Avalanche, like you can rent the whole space. For we have a few select nights that you can rent the whole space, or you can rent the VIP lodge for parties up to 40. So that we have a lot of options with that. And then when we're not, we're just, we'll rent it daytime, nighttime, middle of the night, middle of the morning.
Yeah, daytimes are becoming a big thing for people doing holiday parties. We've noticed kind of a little bit of a switch the past few years for holiday parties for some companies. They don't want people to have to come in on their time off to have a holiday party. They'll actually do it in the afternoon, like, hey, we're gonna work a half day, noon to 4 o'clock. We're gonna do our holiday party. And so we're starting to see that shift a little bit too. So we're able to actually doing more and more events in the afternoons on a Tuesday, which you wouldn't think, but it's December, so it makes sense for some of these different companies and things. Just they're trying to keep their employees' time in mind as well. So it's kind of an interesting shift.
How does it work out during the year when there's not a theme? How is someone able to rent the space out? Is there multiple use spaces inside of it?
Yeah, so we are work and leisure, so we do focus on daytime. We do a lot of larger daytime meetings, and then at night we host different events during the evening hours. So people are able to get a hold of us through our website, workandleisurestl.com, and they're putting a request for kind of what they're needing, because we do such a wide range of events. We want to make sure that we're able to customize it to the people's needs. If we're doing a big panel discussion for somebody for 100 people, it's going to be a little bit different than a brainstorming session for a group of 20 people that come in and really just focus down and be able to knock out what they need to do for redoing their budget or whatever for the year, which isn't as fun as a big interesting panel discussion, but it's just such a wide range that we're able to host for them.
Now, do you have a culinary department along with your beverage department? How does the food situation work out there?
We work with some of the best chefs in St. Louis. We've really curated a really great group, and we're both pretty great in the kitchen too. So it's
not on their level.
Not on their level, but it's been a lot of fun. So we all get in there. So we'll handle most of the daytime stuff, and then in the evening stuff we have our chefs, they're so incredible. Chef Liz, as we mentioned earlier with Tenacious Eats, she's one of the best chefs in St. Louis. You can't go anywhere and someone doesn't know who she is. And we're working with the table quite closely. They're Chris and Darren, two really great guys, great families, and they're amazing at what they do. And they bring such a light to the room. When they walk in, everyone's excited.
They do good too. They on about a weekly or bi-weekly basis, they take meals up to the hospital to feed families that are out of town, excuse me, and needing a little bit of a home cooked meal. They do that out of the kindness of their heart at no charge. They are spectacular people.
Now, I've been told that you guys have a big heart for charity. Since you brought that up and helping people out, and how does that work? Do you have fundraisers through your business, or you just go out and about and just give your stuff when after the shows are done?
We go about it a couple of different ways. I've been really lucky having Jordan with Work and Leisure, because I just came to him and said, hey, I want to do pop-ups. And he's like, go for it. And I was like, I also want to do a lot of charity stuff. And he's like, even better. So all of our events, all of our public events, if it's ticketed, we make sure that a portion of the tickets will go to a select charity. But we'll do it for everything. We make sure that people in the community are fed and have places to go if they need it. But with summer camp, for example, almost everything about summer camp, adult summer camp, is to give back to the community. So every night we have takeovers from somebody in the community that they have a stage to shine. They can show their talents to the, St. Louis, so they can get discovered. And on top of that, we also add charitable elements to it. So not only ticket sales, but we'll have that charity come in that night, bring all their people, get to experience something great. Right now we're working with some really great people with Haven of Grace, and with Avalanche, we're going to be working with Diaper Bank and the Food Bank.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, do you guys have lodging on site, or is there, is it going to turn it into an Airbnb, or on the side wing, or?
That would be nice.
I'm sure there's probably lodging available nearby.
Yeah, we do work with some local hotels and stuff. So if you're in, you don't live around the St. Louis area, or you're like, hey, we're going to really make a night of this. There are some hotels that are pretty close that we're able to do. But as Raven was saying, with that, some of the portion of the ticket sales do go back to a charity that we do. With that as well, but we can help find lodging if you had a little bit too much fun in the evening and you want to be able to still hit the slopes tomorrow. Yeah.
And then you guys have a wonderful New Year's Eve soiree coming up as well.
We do, yeah. We've been working with Brad and Twally, who's Brad is better known as Brad and STL, to help promote all of Avalanche and then New Year's as well. New Year's we are focusing with Liz Schuster again and doing actually, you know what? I will turn this one over to you because I know you're pretty excited about the New Year's Eve.
Oh, yeah. So for New Year's Eve, we're having a pajama party. So we encourage everyone to show up in your pajamas. We do not want you to take any time getting dressed up. And then we have 4 stations, food stations, and 9 past apps. We'll have an open bar, champagne toast at midnight, balloon drop, and lots of games and lots of activities. It won't be boring. There won't be a moment of sleeping.
Well, that sounds great. Well, we're going to just got a minute left here. So where are you located, and what's the best way to get tickets?
So we are located at 3015 Locust in the heart of Midtown. So it's not too far from like the Fox Theater, if you're familiar with that, and I'm super familiar with Midtown. Best place to get tickets is off of our website. It is workandleisurestl.com. And tickets for Avalanche and for our New Year's Eve party are both on there. Let's give you a direct link and make it pretty easy for you.
Yeah, it's a pretty historic part of town there as well, isn't it?
It is, yeah, it's really neat. It's the old automotive district. So we used to be the old Franklin Automotive Building back in the early 1900s. So it's there's still remnants of that with the different tiles on the floor and some of the plaques and things like that. So we were really interested and excited to see the history of what the building's been, but we think it's really fun what it is right now.
Awesome. Well, one more time for tickets and your website.
workandleisurestl.com, and it'll be there. You can't miss it.
All right. Well, Jordan and Raven, thank you very much for joining us here on City Corner today. We appreciate you coming.
Thank you for having us.
We'll probably be down there to check it out.
Yeah, come on down. I'd love to have you on the slopes.
All right. We're going to take a quick break now, but stay with us as local media personality Clint Hasse will join us after the break.
Did you know that you can watch STL TV on your smart TV? That's right. With the new STL TV Now app, you can watch STL TV at home without a cable subscription. And that includes our live broadcast channel as well as video on demand content. We have apps for Apple TV, Fire TV, and Roku. You probably have at least one of those at home, right? But this one is a Fire TV. Now listen, it is really easy to get started. Just find the App Store on your TV, then search for STL TV Now. Select it and click to install. And in just a few seconds, you are enjoying STL TV's great programming such as City Corner, Inside Sports, City Government, and public interest coverage. Or, my personal favorite, In the Kitchen.
What I thought was a complete life was nowhere near complete. But it is now.
Learn about adopting a teen at adoptuskids.org.
Welcome back to City Corner. I'm Todd Blackstock, and joining me now in our second segment is blooming photographer Clint Hasse. Clint, thank you so much for joining us. Clint, you spent many years in the media in St. Louis, radio, TV, and you're a musician. Let's start off first with your stint at KSDK.
I had 16 and a half great years there. It was really a privilege to work at 5 on Your Side, as we're now known. But it's a great family of people and just the greatest professionals outside of STL TV, of course. So it was a great run, and I was a marketing person and worked with clients and developing campaigns and writing, producing, and so on. So yeah, it was good.
You know, the TV industry, you've got to be pretty versatile and wear a lot of hats, don't you?
You really do nowadays. There's no question about that. Whatever your position is at the station, it's almost a necessity.
I mean, you've got to be able to go out and shoot, edit, sell, market, do all that stuff. Probably if you really want to break in these days, it seems like that's the way to go. You do, and you know, I had, I guess, a good background for that because I kind of came up in the small market and where we did everything. So it's never been foreign to me, that aspect of it. So I think that really helped me. You know, you spent some time with Camo X over the years, and you can tell by your voice. I remember hearing your name, you know, and you've got that big booming voice with Camo X doing all that and voiceover work as well. How rewarding was that?
You know, when I was growing up, I'd be in the car with my parents and we'd be downtown at nighttime and, you know, near One Memorial Drive, the old Camo X location. And I'd look up at those lights where the Camo X studios were, and we'd have Camo X on, and I'd have all those people were my radio heroes. And I thought, I wonder what they're doing up there. I would love to see that. And eventually my dream came true. It took a while, but I got to work with all of my radio heroes. I mean, really the best of the best. I mean, nationally recognized station. I mean, everybody knows the story of the great Camo X, voice of St. Louis. So it was, again, a privilege working in another legacy property, not unlike KSDK.
So you're also a musician, and you've got your own original music. You've done a lot of work down in Nashville. Can you tell us about that?
I spent 2.5 years in Nashville, and a bandmate of mine that I had here in St. Louis, Justin Branham, had moved to Nashville. He now works on the Grand Ole Opry, and he's a member of the Time Jumpers band that plays in Nashville on Monday nights. I mean, they're the cream of the crop. Anyway, he invited me down to play a gig. And afterwards, it went really well. And afterwards, I said, would it be crazy if I booked some gigs down here and came down like maybe once a month? And that's how it started. And everybody was so nice in Nashville. I mean, they want to encourage you to do well. And so I would go down, I'd stay in an Airbnb every month for a few days, but I'd book gigs for 2 or 3 days. And they were, you know, nothing big, little beer joints or coffee houses, but the musical IQ in Nashville is extremely high. So they will listen to original music, and I was writing a lot of original music at that time. And so that culminated in this album that I created, which you can find in any streaming service in the world, Inside Nashville. And I got to know the music community very well, a lot of the A and B session players, and they became friends. And they graciously agreed to play on my album and really brought my music to life. So that was another tremendous experience.
So what's your album called?
Inside Nashville.
Inside Nashville.
Yeah,
That's
and
cool.
you know, anybody that knows Nashville knows that it's changed quite a bit. I mean, it's kind of overgrown. The population, it's probably was originally for a town of about 1 million people, and I think there's over 2 million there now. So it's pretty congested. And what we always tried to find when we would go out on adventures is we tried to find the old charm Nashville, the true inside Nashville, and seek out those places and meet those people. So that's how it got its name.
Well, as a lifelong St. Louisan, you've known to seek out different neighborhoods in the St. Louis area, and you've experienced it. And I guess in your semi-retirement point of your career right now, you've taken on a new direction, and you've got a really neat exhibit going on at the Hill in St. Louis that has generated a lot of excitement.
It has, and I'm really very proud of that and very grateful for that. People have asked me, why did you want to do a photo series on the Hill? And my response is, why not? I mean, there is nothing else maybe in the world like the Hill. One of my subjects that I did a portrait of is Renaud, who did the documentary America's Last Little Italy. But I think, you know, most St. Louisans know the Hill as a restaurant hub. And it definitely is that. These restaurateurs are artisans, and I've been back in the kitchens. I've met all of these people, and I worked on this project from January through the first part of July. So, this Frank Bertarelli, he has the cutlery shop. He didn't have much to say, but he held up the knife. I thought that was my cue to maybe leave. No, he was there. Everybody was so nice. This is Sam Licata. He started the Marconi Bakery in 1968. There's a shot in my book of him, an old picture of him, where he's wearing plaid pants, a white belt. You can't see his shoes, but I imagine they're white shoes as well from 1968. But he's phenomenal. He doesn't speak much English, but everybody understood each other. I call these Bicycle Men of the Hill. This was actually one of the first shots I did. It was last January, and they're out in January weather riding their bicycles. And that's one thing I love about the Hill. It's like a throwback to the way some of us grew up that are my age. You know, you don't have to leave the Hill. There's no chain stores. If you want a grocery store, they have it. I mean, everything is there. Everything's within walking distance. It is the epitome of what local means.
You know, in big neighborhoods like that, the church is always a big core with
Yes.
St. Ambrose right there. That's where it all derives from.
Yes, and I've got to know Father Jack Seifert pretty well. I did a couple of portraits of him, and just great to work with. You'll notice he's not smiling in that picture. He wanted to do it that way because he said, you know, all of the great portraits, people are never smiling. And I did do another one of him smiling, but he likes that portrait. So if he likes it, I like it.
It's amazing. So here's another one right here.
Yeah, this is a great little tidbit. I would have a couple of portrait sessions set up when I went down there, and it was like 2 or 3 days a week I would be working there. And I was walking back to my car one day, and I saw these guys on Shaw Avenue at the end of their workday of restoring this beautiful 2-story house. And I said, do you mind if I take your picture? And they said, no, go ahead. But you know, you get to know these people. The guy on the left is a bicycle tour guide, and he travels all around the country, and he's in the process of slowly refurbishing this home that he bought.
So this exhibit is at the Columbia Foundation for the Arts. Where's that?
That's right. You know, for people our age, and if they're from this area or around the Hill, they might know that location as the old Columbia Theater. Frank Schwager is a guy he's a professor of architecture, an architect, sculptor, painter, and people kept telling me, oh, you got to meet Frank, you got to meet Frank. So I called him to do a portrait, and he invited me to do this show once he saw some of my work. So, you know, again, an example of a really great person that believed in what I was doing. But it used to be the Columbia Theater, and, you know, he made it looks like Architectural Digest. There's Frank right there. And that's the picture behind him is a portrait of him done 50 years ago. I had told him when I met him, the only time I had been there was in 1965 when our parents dropped us off to see the Beatles' Help movie. And he had never heard that story about the Columbia Theater. He's heard a lot of other stories, but he hadn't heard that one. But it was like the Beatles were there. I mean, it was mayhem. Girls were screaming, the whole bit.
You know, it's amazing looking back in time and looking at these pictures you've got here, Clint, and to me, what comes to mind is that you're actually documenting 2024 on the Hill, and it looks very similar to what it did 50, 60, 70 years ago. And there's Mary Frances.
Yep. Mary Frances, for those that don't know, she is Yogi Berra's niece.
Yes.
And she lives in the Yogi Berra boyhood home. By the way, on that street, the Hall of Fame street, there are 3 baseball Hall of Famers. There's Yogi. Directly across the street is Joe Garagiola's house. And I didn't even know this, being a Camo Xer. Down on the corner is the first place that Jack Buck lived when he moved to St. Louis. So 3 baseball Hall of Famers on one street.
Isn't that crazy?
That in and of itself. But you could stay at Yogi's house. It's an Airbnb.
Is it really?
Yeah, and it's got a lot of memorabilia in the house.
When Yogi passed away, Mary had a get-together and invited anyone in St. Louis or around the country that wanted to come to see his house. She invited them there, and they had a reception, and she was just the most cordial person. And being a fly on the wall, I heard some of the greatest stories ever. Well, we got a couple of minutes left, Clint. We've got several more pictures. You know, what else do you think about the Hill? Because it is gaining world acclaim. You had the movie here about the greatest game, the soccer game, and people come there, and it's just a very quaint little neighborhood. There's nothing fancy about it.
Yeah.
You got the little shotgun houses.
Right.
You know, they, I guess, help with the airflow back in the day. But it seems like in the Hill, everybody's got their eye at each other, and everybody's got your back, and your own little security area.
Yeah, the name of the book and the exhibition is The Hill, Where Ordinary Becomes Extraordinary. And what I mean by that is, you know, back in the day, this was a very humble, very ordinary type of neighborhood. But because there's nothing like that anymore, you know, we have to drive 5-10 miles to go to a grocery store now. It wasn't like that way back when. So it is indeed very extraordinary. There's Vince DiRamondo. Rio Vitale, who did the documentary, America's Little Italy, he said, you got to get Vince, because he wouldn't do the documentary because he didn't want that much attention. But he's a great guy, and we got to know each other. He's 98 years old in that photo, by the way.
Before we let you go, the exhibit one more time, how long will it be up? And
well,
what are you thinking about next?
It just ended, but I am working on a new exhibit, which is based on environmental portraiture that captures people in their private space with their passion in life, whatever that may be. Could be their hobby, could be their profession that crossed over into, that owns their life and is the hobby and the profession. But I'm working on that, so I'll be working on it for a while. But thanks for having me. This is really a blast.
Yeah, I'm on our way out. What about this?
I did a little blurb book. For some people may be familiar with blurb. It's like, you know, if the family goes on a Florida vacation, they publish the pictures in a self-published book. And it's just a blurb book. It's just kind of my calling card. When I'm meeting people, I can show them, well, here's what I did with the Hill neighborhood.
Well, Clint, congratulations on your career, and good luck on your photography business, and all the great things that are forthcoming for you. Thanks for coming.
Thank you very
today.
much, Todd. It's a pleasure.
Right. That's our show for today. We'd especially like to thank our studio guests. We'd like to thank you for watching City Corner on STL TV. Experience St. Louis.